This training tape will deal with defensive line movements prior to the snap. As the football game evolves and offenses now are coming to the line, looking to the sidelines, realigning based on the defense, now the defense of players and coaches are getting smarter and also doing on-the-fly adjustments based on formations and personnel that may be in the game for that play or that situation. So we're starting to see some creative ways of which, especially the linemen and in some cases the linebackers are moving, which some of which are legal, some are illegal, but we have to be aware of these situations. And the first way to be aware of these situations is to scout your teams prior to the game and understand what they may do during these situations. So what this video will do, we're going to go through what is allowed, what is not allowed pre-snap, and we're going to show some plays and talk through the plays about what movement is legal and what movement is illegal by defensive linemen. So before we do that, let's just go through what is legal versus illegal on the defensive line. So legal, they can move laterally with no abrupt hand movements. So they call this stemming or shifting, where that either a linebacker or whoever the captain of the defense says to move or adjust, and the defensive linemen move. Now we're starting to see situations where there are abrupt hand movements. We are treating the defensive line similar to how we treat the offensive line if they were to go to a 2 to 3 point stance. If it is a smooth motion, then it is legal. If it becomes an abrupt motion in the offensive case, to draw the defense into the neutral zone, then we deem that to be simulating the snap, and it would be a false start. Conversely, on the defensive side, if the defense starts to make abrupt hand movements, we have to treat that as them doing a non-football related move, and if the foul on that case would be delay a game on the defense, and put it on the defense. As I said earlier, the defense can call out signals to move. Okay, that is predicated with if the signal is not in the offensive cadence. If the offense in their cadence yells go, the defense cannot yell go. If the offense claps, the defense cannot clap. It is the defensive responsibility to make their adjustment. Okay, so before the pregame, I would go to each quarterback and say, what is your cadence? Or go and watch the plays. Then that way, if the defense starts doing funny things, you can get to them right away and say, you can't use the word go. You can't, obviously hut or hike are out of the vocabulary no matter what it is. But, the defensive coach is going to come back to you. That's what we used all year. Well, I'm sorry. That's part of the offense's cadence. You have to adjust today. They are allowed to adjust their stance, the defensive linemen. They can adjust in a smooth, non-abrupt manner. They can switch hands. They can readjust, just as long as they do not move forward enough to put them in the neutral zone. But just as long as it, again, is smooth, not abrupt. And you'll see some plays that it becomes very difficult to judge. But, that's why we're paid the big bucks to do this. And then in the case where we're timing a snap as a linebacker, they're going to run towards the line of scrimmage to time the blitz. This is where our judgment and being involved in the game enough comes into play. If it happens prior to the offense beginning their cadence, most likely there's something, my antennas would be up and there would be something fishy going on here. Okay, if the offense is in the middle of their cadence and that you see the linebacker run up to the line of scrimmage because maybe they figured out the cadence of the offense, or movements by the center which give them an idea of when they snap the ball, that's allowed, given there's no additional surrounding non-football related situations that go on there. So what is illegal? Move or adjust the stance with abrupt hand movements which are not football related. I'll show some footage on that. Call signals, which are in the offensive cadence, or clap. I discussed that. And then run towards the line of scrimmage to time a blitz with a non-football related movement. And this mainly goes towards hand gestures. Okay, so we'll see some plays and discuss this a little bit further. All right, we have 9 plays where we're going to show situations which are legal and illegal as far as defensive line movements. And the other thing we need to take under consideration is, why would a defensive lineman do something that is getting to the line of whether a foul or not, whether or not it is a foul or isn't a foul? So it's game situational awareness. Okay, so if the offense is in a 3rd and short or a 4th and short, their play selection is much greater. They could run, they could pass, they could do play action. Now, if the defense was trying to do something tricky to draw the offense into a false start, that then takes them from a 3rd or 4th and short into a 3rd and 4th and long. And then that takes the offensive playbook and narrows it. You likely will not have a run. The play action fake will not be as effective on 3rd and 4th and long as it is in 3rd and 4th and short. So there are reasons why the defense goes and does certain things in addition to shifting legally that could cause these situations. So we should be heightened with our sense of awareness whenever we get into 3rd and 4th down situations and short yardage situations. But before I get to this call is mainly going to be made by the line of scrimmage officials and umpires. They're the ones in the best line to see this. Now, that doesn't absolve the referee, because the referee could be looking at a tackle and looking, in his or her vision, see the defensive end and what that person may do. So this is a crew kind of communication, and really it's not an easy play. But again, if we scout our teams and understand situations, we can be ready and prepared for when they present us. So let's get started and look at the first play. So we have a 1st and 10 situation, and then you'll see movement by the defensive line right there, which causes the offense to jump. Now, first things first, the defensive line never gets into the neutral zone. Okay, they move laterally, and the hand movements, I'll play it again, are not abrupt. So in this situation, even though number 50, I'll circle number 50 and I'll run it again, number 50 is starting to get on that line. And this is where we use some information and say, go to the coach and say, 50 did a very good job right there, not doing abrupt hand movements. However, that is the limit. It was right on the edge because it's very difficult. So it's a good way for us to talk to the coach and explain to the coach what you see in the situation. But the defense does nothing here that is illegal. So this is a good call. We get a false start call in this situation. So let's take a look at the next play. And some of these plays, which is great, we have an end zone view, which we can dissect a little bit further here. So here we have the defensive line move down, nothing abrupt, another false start call. It's on the offense. They're in punt formation here. They move down, nothing abrupt. We have a flag for a false start, which is a good call in this situation. So again, these are 2 situations. I don't want to highlight just the illegal stuff, but where it is legal for a defensive lineman to do a move. This next situation, I want you to think about what you just saw with hand movements, and let's take a look at the hand movements right here by this player in this situation. Very abrupt, right? And we'll see from the end zone view, we have to see did that defensive lineman even move laterally? Because if that defensive lineman does not move laterally, and you are even the slightest bit in the middle of was the abrupt hand movement abrupt or not, the leeway gets smaller if they do not They do not move laterally. Okay. Now let's take a look at the movement internally. So we'll get a better view in the end zone. But what I do want you all to make sure, especially line of scrimmage officials, make sure we do have a false start in this situation, because when you look at this play, we're really tight as when the ball moves and whether that right tackle moves early. Okay, so don't get fooled and react based on what the defense does. You take your focus off the ball, and then you see out of the corner of your eye that the tackle moves, but the tackle moves quicker than the rest of the line, but actually is in time with the snap. Okay, I'll slow it down just to see how, I'll show you how close it really is. It is really close, and honestly, that's one we could shy away from, because we're going to be wrong more than we're right in that situation. So let's take a look at the end zone view right here, and let's start with the left defensive end right here and how the movement is done. So boom, right away you saw the quick hand movement, and you saw if there was any lateral movement, it was extremely small. So like I said earlier, the threshold for our tolerance of the abruptness goes down if they do not shift. So this situation on the left end, that is a delay game on the defense. Now let's take a look further internally if there's anything else we can pick up. See, even number 17, the right end, and you can't see it because you're blocked out, does the same thing number 50 does. Very little lateral movement, if any, and abrupt shifts hand. So this is a situation where we would put it on the defense. Okay, let's take a look at this next play, and this is a better illustration. Okay, again, we look at number 50, abrupt hand movement, and we see that there's internal abrupt hand movement by number 55. Now let's take a look at the umpire's view, and this is why umpires, it's extremely important for you to get set prior to the snap, because if you're moving, you're not focused, right? So now, this, you see the nose guard moves laterally and doesn't switch hands. That is legal. That nose guard just hopped sideways, kept the same hand in the dirt, and just moved from a head up to an eye shade, which is legal in this situation. Now, contrast that with, let's take a look at the defensive end. Switches hands abruptly, does move shade, but again, our tolerance level, because they switched hands and moved very little, goes down. So let's take a look at, let's go back to the sideline view. This is a situation where we have a foul on the defense on the left defensive end, not the nose guard. The left defensive end, we have a delay a game foul in this situation. Let's go to another play. So again, we have abrupt hand movements by the defensive line. Again, the nose guard and the left defensive end. But again, I think what you will see from the end zone feed, is the nose guard moves laterally, keeps the same hand in the dirt. Completely legal. Defensive end switches hands. We have very slight lateral movement. That's where, again, we would put this on the defense on the left defensive end as a delay of game. Another situation. Now we have the offensive lined up. Again, umpires, we got to get in position, because the line of scrimmage officials can help you with the defensive ends, the last person on the line of scrimmage. But internally, it's very difficult for them to handle and help you in these situations. So we have to get set. So 19, what do we think about this movement? I'm fine with it. There's nothing, he could be jab stepping, but when you put it all together now, right? You have a jab step and then all this defensive line movement, then we need to be aware of all this. We see all this through our peripheral, and we have to piece this together, because let's look at the end zone feed. Okay. You have somebody who keeps their hand in the dirt the same, which is the nose guard. Same thing with the left end, keeps the same hand in the dirt. However, let's take a look. I'm sorry, this is the right end. Let's take a look at the person I just circled right here. That is where we have a foul on the defense. So this movement right here is legal. This movement by this player is legal. The movement by the defensive end on this side is a foul on the defense for delay a game. All right, let's take a look at the next play. So we just have a hand adjustment here by this player right here. Not abrupt. I know the player does not move, but this is a not abrupt hand movement. Look at this play and contrast it with the plays earlier. You can clearly see the difference in the hand movement between the two, which makes this play right here, there's no foul on the play on the defense. Next, we're going to look at this play regarding the linebacker. We talked a little bit about the linebacker coming up and running to the line of scrimmage and trying to time the snap. So here we have the offense in formation and the quarterback's calling cadence. So we have a linebacker trying to time the snap, steps, stops, and comes back. And of course, we have a movement by the offensive line, right? No, we don't. We don't have movement by the offensive line. I'm sorry. So we end up throwing a flag on the defense here, which I don't know the game situation and how it all played out, but this is a situation where the defense is allowed to run up to the line. There was no abrupt non-football hand movements. This isn't like it happened at the offense just lined up and he runs up to the line of scrimmage just to try to draw the offense offside. So in this situation, there is nothing. Okay? So what I want you to remember this play, and we're going to contrast it with the next one. So on this next play, we're going to take a look at this player right here. I think it's the linebacker here, and watch what he does. You see that hand movement right there? Comes in and just shakes his arms. If we get a situation, this is a foul on the defense because this is a non-football related move here. Okay? This is something that is done to draw the offense to move. Okay? I don't want to get into absolutes that this is always a foul. If this happens with 12 minutes to go in the first quarter and the offense doesn't react, this is a perfect situation where you get to the head coach right away and you tell the head coach that this action will not be tolerated any further. Okay? If you've warned them and the situation occurs later in the let me stop that. If this happens with 12 minutes to go in the first quarter and you get a reaction by the offense, it is a foul on the defense. Okay? Now, if you've already warned the head coach and you've warned them at 12 minutes to go in the first quarter and this happens with 2 minutes to go in the first quarter, it's a foul on the defense. You've already warned them. And make sure you warn the head coach and you tell the player. Don't go to the defensive coordinator. Always communicate these sort of situations to the head coach because they are going to be the ones when you throw this flag that is going to ask for a response and ask, why wasn't I informed of this? Okay. Now, if this happens in a third or fourth and short situation, my suggestion to you, this is a foul. Okay, because it's a clear and obvious attempt to get the team in a longer situation here, whether or not that player reacts. Okay, let's look at the left defensive end. What do we have here? Let me go back a little bit further. Abrupt hand movement. I doubt that there's much lateral movement. Again, another situation where we would have a foul on the defense. Okay? Now, let's look at, sorry, it's a little jumpy here. This player right here, the left defensive tackle, moves laterally, although slight, does not change hands. That is okay. Let's go down the line and look at the right defensive tackle. Doesn't look like they move. Now, if they just jump and don't move laterally and the offense reacts, we have to talk to them about that. We can't have defensive linemen just moving and bouncing around. But if they move laterally and don't change hands and they're not in the neutral zone, it is not a foul. Now let's look at the right end, number 17. Looks like abrupt hand movements without really changing. Again, these are situations we need to clean up. And these are situations that as you scout your team, and these are discussions we have with head coaches. And you can do it in a non-threatening way. Does your defensive line stem or shift laterally? Yes, Mr. Referee or Miss Referee, yes, we do. We'll just keep in mind that we need smooth shifts, smooth hand movements, okay, in a non-threatening manner, okay? So these are ways that we can handle these situations, but umpires and line of scrimmage officials, we may have to piece these things together. Referees, we may have to piece these things together to get them right. But with proper preparation and a good pregame to talk about these situations, we can be successful and officiate these plays the right way. So that's it for this tape. Any comments or questions, please leave them in the comments. And again, if you want to be receiving these videos as they come out, just subscribe and you should get a notification. I appreciate everyone who's watching them and commenting on them. Good luck this season.